All right, wow. What a day. I don't even know where to start. Well, MGT, the stock of the past couple days, really. It's stock. Everyone's been talking about it. Amazing play today. Really don't know what else I can say about it other than the fact that it was just simply a gift that just kept on giving. It pretty much paid out everyone, longs, shorts, bounce players, people that even like to play grinds it for whatever reason. Everyone got a piece of the pie, so to speak, and it was just simply amazing. My only regret was probably not being able to, nail the bounce right here. I kind of botched this really, really badly. I started in too early, ended up with like around a 290 average, and then I kind of got scared that it was going to stuff threes and just sold it pretty much for only like a 500 buck gain. And if I held, probably would have made maybe like an extra 2 grand, which would have put me over 5 figures on the day. So that's my only regret. So moving forward, you got to get better at reading these. So I'm probably going to do my homework and study and seeing how I can get better at playing these NASDAQ bounces. I'm totally not as good with these as I used to be with OTC bounces. A lot harder to read with the halts and all that. So, but nonetheless, it was a great play all around, and I want to keep this video short and sweet. It's going to be a nice example of another long washout play that I captured on video for you guys. I know you guys like to see a lot of live trading examples, so I went ahead and recorded the first 30 minutes, so basically my morning session, so you guys can see what I kind of do in terms of technical analysis and what my thought process is, and of course see the trades in action. Now, I will admit that this was a pretty sloppy trade, so this might be a really poor example in terms of execution. Um, I definitely jumped in a little bit too early, jumped the gun there, so to speak, and I also sold a little bit too early as well. So, like I said, pardon the execution. It wasn't the best. I probably could have made 5 figures on just the morning washout trade alone. However, I ended up making, I guess you can say only 7,000, but I mean that's still a pretty good gain, right? And $7,000 in a span of 3 minutes is no joke. But from an execution standpoint, it definitely could have been a lot better. I could have had a much better entry, and that would have allowed me to hold my position a lot more comfortably, a lot longer for a bigger move. Instead, I kind of took the quick 20 cents. Eventually, that's what it was. So, like I said, could have been better in terms of execution, but very happy with the result. So before you guys look at this chart and say, well, what an idiot. Why does this guy try to buy along at the top? Well, obviously, you got to move the chart back. You don't know that the stock eventually crashed, right? So just a little backstory on the stock going into the day. Obviously, yesterday there was a big move. Definitely was a really nice play yesterday as well. So let's just say we only knew this much. So yesterday we got this really nice move from the low threes up to almost 5. So the high of day was basically just under 5 in the 490s. So that was going to be a very crucial price level moving forward. The previous day's high, and it looked like the shorts got what they wanted right here around 11 o'clock yesterday. We got this huge tank job. I think this was on that street sweeper bash hit piece, and that tanked the stock from basically 5s down to mid 3s. So the shorts thought that they were in the clear, but however, we got this little consolidation. And as we all know, consolidation usually means that it could just churn some more shorts, trap some more shorts, and then take them for another ride. That's why I always call consolidation kind of like a coin flip kind of play, because it could pretty much go either way. Either they're screwing over shorts, or maybe longs are getting trapped on the fake outs, or whatever. Either way, it's very difficult to kind of gauge who is getting screwed until the move actually materializes. So eventually the shorts kind of got weeded out here. Still not really panicking. It's kind of like a grinding volume. It did go back to mid 4s. And we got a couple of fake outs here, and then eventually a dump late in the day. So the longs kind of got screwed toward the end in the last 30 minutes. Got this really nasty wick that dropped the stock back below 3, and it actually closed right above 4. So basically, this stock pretty much closed about $1 off the highs, and the shorts thought that they were in the clear. I'm sure a lot of guys thought that they saw this stuff move. They said, okay, this is going to make a lower high right here around the 460s, 450s, 460s. I'm going to short overnight, and I'm going to hold it because this thing is confirming this lower high. and it had a pretty weak close. Well, let's fast forward to pre-market today. We could see that after hours, even the previous day, it kind of grinded up, grinded up, grinded up. I'm sure that had a couple of shorts, you know, pissing in their pants a little bit per se. And pre-market definitely, they were probably shitting in their pants. You can see this thing gapped back above 5, above the previous day's high. Like I said, 497, 498 was the previous day's high. This thing's gapping above that level. And like I said in my previous video, if you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, the video where I was talking about how can you tell whether or not to short the pops or along the dips, and it basically, the premise of that is comparing the tug-of-war battle between buyers and sellers and who's feeling the pain. Well, you better believe that the shorts, if they're seeing that the stock is gapping and trading, a lot of the bulk of the pre-market action is trading above the previous day's high at around 498, and especially if the stock closed around $4 and you're talking about a stock that's gapping up 25%. And on top of that, you got this attempted dip right here, and that held at 470 and it grinded back to new highs. You better believe that the shorts are going to be freaking out, and that's going to cause pretty much a squeeze at the open. So that's why I started creating a long bias, and I was pretty certain that this thing was going to be a really nice washout long kind of play, and that's exactly what happened. So fast forward to the open, and we see that this thing had a really nasty wick, and the wick was immediately bought back up, and this thing shot right back up. So we're going to go ahead and start the footage and take it over from there and see how I execute the trade. And like I said, it wasn't the best of executions. You'll see me that I was actually down quite a bit unrealized at some point, but I was very confident based on what I just explained to you guys that this thing was going to shoot back up, and it was going to give me at least a nice little push, squeezing some of these shorts that kind of thought that they were in the clear the previous day and from pre-market on, that they thought that they were good, but once this thing gapped up above the previous day high, I'm pretty sure that they were going to get squeezed for a nasty ride that I can take advantage of on the long side. So that was my thought process, and that's why I was completely not really phased when the stock kind of dipped below my kind of early entry. So let's go ahead and without further ado, let's look at the footage. All right, so we have some of the pre-market action here. So we take over the action here around 9:17 a.m. Eastern time. Go ahead and speed it up a little bit. Let's observe this price action pre-market. This thing is already gapping up almost 40 cents above the highs from yesterday, and already $1.40 pretty much above previous day's close. So right now the shorts are pretty much freaking out. I'm pretty sure. Definitely, if I was short and I was holding this thing and I was shorting for a gap down and impossible fade yesterday in the low fours, I'm pretty sure that I would be pretty freaking out right now. So let's go ahead and just observe this price action for a little bit. And one thing I did notice about MGT is that it does tend to kind of wash out a few minutes before the open, so I'm definitely waiting for that. Did try a pre-market entry the past couple days, but didn't really work out too well because it ended up washing out even more on top of the last minute pre-market washout. So learning my lesson from that, definitely I didn't attempt to buy the pre-market move today, so I waited for the open and jumped in. I'm going to go ahead and speed it back into real time once the actual market opens, so you guys can see my trades in real time. It's just going to fast forward this pre-market action because there's not really much to say about it other than the fact that the stock's kind of gapping up and holding above 5 for now. All right, 1 minute to the to the open. I'm gonna go ahead and slow this back down to real time. All right, so we're gonna see the pullback at the open, and you'll also see me make a pretty preemptive buy that I'm not really too proud of. But like I said, I was very confident that this stock was going to rip back and take the shorts for a ride. So here's the washout. So I attempt to buy here at 520. You might say that 25,000 shares is a lot of size, but like I said, I was very, very confident in this play, like I was with PRGN. So I was very comfortable taking a large, very large position, and on top of that, the volume on this stock is very, very good. So selling that many shares isn't a problem on a stock with this much volume. So I did have an option. I did have this option right here to sell the stock right here in the 540s for a quick 2 grand. I opted not to do it. Maybe in hindsight I should have, and then just rebought back on the washout. But I held on to the position and added a couple of shares here. So here we go. The stock is now washing out to the previous day's high around 490, and you'll see that it will kind of stall and wick right here. So I loaded my full position, and I tried to add in another 18,000 shares. So I was going for pretty much 55,000 shares or so, and that's how confident I was in this thing coming back. When I finally saw that stall at 490s and the bids prop back up, I was very certain this thing was going to, at the very least, retest the highs at around 539. So I'm in 36,000 shares at a 510 average. Like I said, execution wasn't the best. Should have maybe sold that first position at 540 and then bought the remaining shares at 490 or whatever. But nonetheless, this is what I have to work with, and it's looking pretty good right now. And here we go. Moving toward the highs. Candle has turned green. And there we go, 530s. And now I try to sell here at 530. I'm going to tell you why. In the end, in hindsight, obviously it wasn't the best sell price. But because I kind of saw that this thing might have potentially stalled there at 539 at that high day. I saw that it kind of downticked really quickly from 535. Ended up taking the sell there at 530, capturing $7,000 in profits in a matter of just 2.5 minutes. But nonetheless, like I said, if I had a better entry, maybe if I had a 490 or 5 flat average, I might have been able to hold it for the extra 10, 20 cents. So like I said, it was a sloppy trade, sloppy entry, and as a result, it kind of affected my mindset for my exit. So, but the point is, I was very, very confident that this stock was going to move in my direction, and that any washout was going to get bought up pretty quickly, as the shorts would probably use it as an opportunity to cover because they're going to see that this thing wasn't going to break down, and any stall, especially against the previous day's high, would have probably resulted in a short coverage squeeze. So that's pretty much what I was basing the trade on, and that's pretty much what exactly happened. So like I said, and the execution wasn't the best, but I was very happy with the result. So we're gonna see the stock make another washout here off of that 558 high, and you're gonna see me do a secondary trade with a much smaller position in a couple minutes here. So I took a starter there, 1,800 shares at 540. Again, very small size relative to what I played with at the open in accordance to my rules to protect my profits. I'm not really in the mood to give back maybe like one or two, three, four, $5,000 if this thing just ends up tanking. So small size, give room for a couple of ads if it pulls back even more, which you'll see in a second that it will. And again, remember, as long as the price is staying this high and well above the previous day's high, there's still lots of shorts that still need to cover. So any dip has a very high probability of bouncing. So that's what I'm banking on, and that's why I'm very comfortable with adding to my position. Usually, in most cases, averaging down is a very bad idea. But in this case, when you know that this many shorts are caught, they're probably going to use all of these pullbacks as opportunities to get out, and that's going to push the price of the stock higher, at least in the immediate short term. So I know I'm at least going to get an immediate bounce on this thing. Now, if this thing were to flush lows, then definitely that's a very good, obvious sign that you should sell. But I'm still fairly confident that this stock is going to at least bounce somewhat, maybe like 20 or 30 cents or so. So I did add another couple shares there. I got 5,500 shares. Probably going to sell this thing, I believe, for 10 cents or so. You'll see on this next pop. So it did end up bouncing about 30 cents off of that low. So there you go. The sell at 35. Got a partial fill there and filled the rest. So got another 500 bucks. So there you go. We're not we're barely 7 minutes into the day and up already 7,500 bucks. Pretty awesome. Can't really ask for a better morning. Of course, if I executed my trades a little bit better, maybe could have been up a lot more, but you know what? Who can ever complain about being up 7,500 bucks in just 7 minutes? That's pretty awesome. That's pretty much me recognizing that this stock had a lot of upside potential due to the fact that there were a lot of shorts trapped, the fact that there were a lot of shorts yesterday, especially on the attempted tank, that they pretty much thought they were good and they were going to clear, and all of a sudden this thing started ramping back, and now it's gapping up pre-market. So that creates a very high probability of the stock making a huge move at the open, which is exactly what you see on MGT right now. And at any dip will probably result in a quick bounce. Like you see right now in MGT, this thing dropped to 5, now bouncing to 540. So you got like a nice 40 cent bounce. That's pretty much a byproduct of shorts using these washouts to get out, to cover. Because they're seeing that this thing is not going to tank. They're like freaking out. So they're going to push the stock higher. And when that happens, it creates opportunity for you on the long side. And that's exactly what I did. And I took advantage of it. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this a little bit. I do have this footage up until 10 o'clock because I made one more small trade later on. So you guys can just go ahead and enjoy the rest of this clip. Not much really said about the action other than the fact that it's just consolidating here for a while in this tight range. I don't make any trades. If you guys followed me on Twitter, I was pretty much tweeting repeatedly over and over again that pretty much the stock was not really tradable when it's stuck in a really tight range, that it was a coin flip and you can't really jump in because you have no edge here. It can go either way. You know, the worst thing that you can do right now is jump in and long and have the thing just the bottom just falls out, rugs gets pulled from under you. Or if you try to go short and all of a sudden, you know, the shorts eventually get squeezed out and you end up covering at like $6 or something. So it's always best to give it a chance to pick a direction and then base your risk off of the support and resistance levels after the move and direction has been pretty much made loud and clear. You'll see that the stock will make lots of fake outs from here on out. So every time you get a fake out, it's pretty much a bull trap, and that crowds the trade on the long side. And you'll see later on, I was tweeting a lot about this, and I was saying that every single time that this thing is going to do a fake out, that's going to trap some longs, and that's going to kill the long trade. And eventually, once the stock tanked, the longs were pretty much long gone. So you'll see a wick right here, pretty much a double top. So just like how the bottom wicks trap shorts, the top wicks trap longs. So we got a couple more of these. If you look at the chart on the day, the intraday chart on the day, you'll see that there's lots of wicks that kind of that was a precursor to the eventual death drop on MGT today. So that's one pretty big indicator when you see longs starting to get trapped, and people that chase the stock and they keep getting screwed over, they're going to start panicking once they see the bottom start to fall out, and that's exactly what happened later on with regards to the dump. So that's why I was tweeting over and over again that the long trade was starting to get kind of difficult, and that I wasn't making any trades unless there was any major washout or anything like that. And on top of that, I was playing with very cautious size. So that way, if I were to trade any washouts, I wouldn't get caught in the major dump and lose all my profits on the day. So there we go, another 540 slam. Like I said, every time we got a move like that, it's trapping some more and more longs. And when longs get trapped, that's going to fuel a possible dump. But at this point, that's really not enough information to say that the stock is going to crash. Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight, knowing that it did crash. But it's just something to consider in the future when you see lots of wicks to the upside. You can kind of guess that if you were along and you chased the stock and then you get wicked on, like you kind of see right now, you would probably be slowly freaking out if you see the stock not getting back to your entry, and it's going to be a kind of a snowball effect once the support breaks. That all the people that chase the stock at the top pretty much are going to get weeded out, and that's going to fuel a move to the downside, just like it fuels a move to the upside when the shorts get screwed over in the same exact manner. So I do believe I make a trade pretty soon. It's gonna be like a small 10-cent scalp for $100, I believe. Nothing too crazy, but might as well show it in the video. Let's slow it down here so you guys can see it. Yeah, I believe I buy this little 5 dip here. There we go, 504 entry on that little washout. Only 1,000 shares, shows you that I'm not extremely confident with it, but going for the quick 10 cents. And put the sell up for 514. Yep, and I get filled. So there you go. So that's pretty much, I believe the rest of the footage is just more of the same action. Nothing too crazy, but all in all, this is pretty much how I trade in my first 30 minutes of the day. Finished with a pretty solid gain of $7,600. So size up big on the open, size up a lot smaller on the secondary trades. Supplement your gains. Don't take any unnecessary risks that result in you losing the bulk of your profits from the first trade. That's the worst thing you could do to yourself, because the best opportunities are usually at the open, and you don't want to undo any of that work. So that being said, guys, this has been another Madaz video. Hopefully you guys found it to be really helpful. I know you guys like to see this stuff, and I'll try my best to remember to hit record for more examples in the future. Alright, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.